like there's another link to Slegers and Joe Montemurro, which is that I think when Renee Slegers was getting her coaching license, she trained under Montemurro. So they also know each other pretty well in that sense. So lots of little throwbacks and connections all over the place.
Hello to all you lovely folks out there. Welcome to another episode of All About the W. Uh, it is a special episode, exciting episode for us because we're previewing two blockbuster Champions League games. Although, I always say blockbuster, it turns out to be terrible. After the FA Cup semis, maybe I'm not going to make that proclamation. Kai, you looking forward to it or you nervous because it's Chelsea?
Uh, I feel like I'm less nervous than I thought I would be. I mean, it's still Thursday, so sorry, it's still Friday, so there's still time for me to start losing my mind. But I feel like for me, I was just comparing it to last year and the amount of pressure I felt as a fan, um, because it was Emma Hayes' last season and the whole narrative around it, the Champions League being her white whale and all that, right? Like I was like, I feel like as a fan, I was feeling the pressure. So I can only imagine how much pressure the players were feeling.
Yeah.
Compared to that, I think, you know, re- realistically, if you think about it, it's like we have a new manager basically, and a squad that is fairly, that's had a bit of, turnover. And the fact that this team has performed as well as it has is honestly a massive surprise. But obviously, now that we've come this far, it would be nice to win it. So
Yeah.
that's there. You're
Yeah.
always greedy. Not greedy,
Yeah.
but you're always hopeful. But yeah, I think I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, also because you're going to win at least a domestic double because you already have one trophy and the most likely the WSL title as well.
Yeah,
So there's that not that much pressure to like get a trophy. It's just that white whale thing somewhat hangs, but it's just Sonia's first year, so I don't think it hangs
yeah,
very
true.
like very heavy.
Mm.
Anyway, before we begin, I would like to remind everyone to like and subscribe, and make sure you share the video. We take a lot of effort to make these, and we're kind of hoping that you help us grow and you help us along in this journey. So it'd be really nice if you could like and subscribe and share all the great things that you're supposed to do. Anyway, let us begin with the first fixture of the first leg of the semifinals: Arsenal versus Lyon. Two teams that are raring to go, both in form, I would say, somewhat. Uh, ha, do you wanna like run us through what do you feel about this fixture, Guy?
I feel, I'm honestly like a lot more excited about this fixture because I do feel like Lyon and Arsenal have not gone up against each other a lot in the recent past, which is
Yeah.
quite the opposite to Chelsea, Barcelona. So I feel like there is a bit of familiarity there. Whereas Arsenal versus Lyon, I think a couple of seasons ago, Arsenal and Lyon were in the same group, um, in the Champions League, and they went up against each other. And I think Arsenal won away at Lyon by a big margin because I think 7 or 8 of Lyon's starters were injured, and I think Lyon came back and won the reverse fixture. But yeah, I mean it's interesting, right? These teams look very different to some extent from that time, especially like say for example in terms of their coaches, you have Rennes Legers, and interestingly, Lyon's coach is Joe Montemurro, who was previously the Arsenal coach. So I feel like there is a lot of mind games in this. I feel like it's so psychological, this one. Uh,
Yeah.
and that makes it a lot more fun. But speaking of mind games, Ash, do you wanna take us through the injury list?
Yeah, so Arsenal mind games. Injury list. Of course, Van Domselaar looks to be out. But there is the question hanging over everyone's head, which is, are Kelly and Russo fit? And according to Renee Sleggers, they should be back for this game, but it remains to be seen. And like there are a lot of people, sort of a lot of people being asked maybe discussing whether these are just like Arsenal mind games or whether they're actually both really injured, or if one of them is injured. And like there are several theories making the rounds, or at least they're making the rounds in my head. Um, anyway, Ruben Moy is also back in training, which is another positive for Arsenal. Speaking of Lyon's injuries, Dumornay is not featured for the last two games for Lyon. So is that a fitness issue as well, or is Lyon playing mind games back? Uh, and it's just a fixture of nobody knows what the starting 11 for either of the two teams will be. But if Dumornay is actually out, then that would be a huge loss, I think, for Lyon.
Yeah.
Uh, how do you believe that any of this is mind games, or do you think it's all just actually injuries?
I'm just gonna wait for the press conference to happen. I don't know about Dumone, because I tried to find out what the issue is because she's not featured in the squad at all in the last couple of games for Lyon. So Eugenie Lesome has been starting in the nine. So um, I mean, I'm assuming it's an injury issue considering she's not made the bench. Um, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna. I'm not going to do mental gymnastics and try to figure out what these people are thinking. I'll just wait
Yeah.
for the press conference. When team news comes out, I will then proceed from there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same here, like obviously I have my tiny worries. Like I mentioned in the last episode, like I'm still worried about how much game time Cal Dente has been getting. So I think tired legs in this Arsenal squad could be an issue for like this all important fixture. Like I do believe that Caldente really makes that midfield tick. Like she is everything creative in that midfield. So I really hope that she's 100% there. I wanted to ask you something else, Guy. Like you mentioned Joe Montemurro being Arsenal's ex-coach, and he's also like an experienced coach. He's coming back to a team that he's coached like he's coming back to play at Arsenal, a team that he's coached before. And it's always like extra brownie points for beating your old club. So I'm sure he's up for it. Are you worried about like Rene Slegger's inexperience, like in comparison?
um, honestly, like I'm not too worried right now, considering how Arsenal have been performing. Like, there's another link to Slegers and Joe Montemurro, which is that I think when Renee Slegers was getting her coaching license, she trained under Montemurro. So they also know each other pretty well in that sense. So lots of little throwbacks and connections all over the place. Um, Listen, Sleggers is the, I mean, the two individuals here are their experiences like a big difference between where they're coming from, right? Like in terms of how long they've coached women's teams, etc. Um, but I still feel like, you know, like when you look at the tactics and when you look at the players that both managers have to play with, yeah, there's just really no excuses. I feel like both teams to some extent cancel each other out, which is why these semifinals are so fun, right? Like these are probably currently the top four best teams in Europe.
Yeah.
So I don't have an answer to your question. For me, it again falls into the mind games category. Like there are still a lot of players who played under Montemurro who's still in the Arsenal team, even though he left like 4 years ago. So
Yeah.
familiarity, Arsenal players know his tactics as well. So I mean, it's going to be really exciting, and I feel like I hope it's a proper chess match. That's all I'll
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. I mean, top four best teams in Europe is definitely like I couldn't have like if I had to set up the semifinals to see who reaches the finals, I couldn't have set it up better myself. Like
Yeah.
this is the like if everyone wanted like the biggest high ticket draws, two WSL teams playing two teams from European leagues, possibly a Barcelona Lyon final, although Kai
I,
probably
I,
not like that.
I would have. I mean, if you wanted big ticket, big team fixtures, I would have taken Lyon. Like they're a big team.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
did
yeah.
it with Barcelona 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, that's the best part about the Champions League.
yeah.
But Ash, like, what have you made of Lyon's run so far? You said they are one of the top four teams in Europe, but what have you made of their run this season?
Okay, so Leon has only lost one cup game, and that's on penalties. So, like, they probably take some confidence from that. But, they had a really disappointing 2-2 draw against Paris FC. And after the draw, like, Amel Majri came out and said, we have to be more rigorous and raise our level. So, then I can see that, like, even their game against Bayern, although they thumped Bayern, like, it was a convincing defeat, they did look vulnerable when they were trailing in the first half. So, like, despite the fact that they're definitely in like really, really good form, they're not like invincible or anything. There are definitely places where, like, I can see Arsenal taking advantage of Lyon, like
Yeah,
defensively, for example. So I wouldn't like, even though Lyon is a big team, like you said, I wouldn't count Arsenal completely out.
yeah.
You know?
I completely agree. I feel like, Arsenal also tend to play really well when they have space to work with, right? Like it's not like like Leon are going to sit back or anything of that sort. So it is going to be a fun fixture, I feel. But in terms of injuries for Leon, I think Hegerberg has also not made the bench since the international break, so it's been a while since she's played. Uh, I'm guessing she's injured, but even so, like you look at the squad, it is quite stacked, especially in the midfield. Like you already have a probably like a starting midfield of Lindsay Horan, Damaris Agurola, and Daniela Vanderdonk. And then on top of that, you have like somebody with a massive technical ability and like the experience of Jennifer Marizan and also like Sarah Durbridge. So that's a pretty stacked midfield there. And I think the issue for Lyon is if Dumone is injured, I feel like their attacking options, and since Hegerberg is also probably injured, I feel like their attacking options are a little thin.
Yeah.
Les Sommer has been starting for a couple of games. You have Amal Majri as well, but they don't have other attacking players as of now. Uh, but the thing is that Dumone has scored 15 goals for Lyon this season. Lindsay Horan has scored 11. So we can see that their midfield can also score some goals. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um, Battles on the pitch. What are you looking forward to?
Ooh, I'm really excited about the wide areas. I'm really excited to see how uh, Diani fares against Katie McCabe. I think that's going to be a really interesting battle. And also Emily Fox versus Tabitha Chawinga. Um, I think with both of these players, they are both quite fast.
Yeah,
Dumone is also super fast. So,
yeah, yeah,
like positional awareness from Arsenal has to be, they just have, the Arsenal defense have to be absolutely at the top of their game because
yeah,
players like, actually, all three of them are pretty good finishers. That's what makes it all even worse. Like they're not just
yeah.
fast, they are technically good and they're good in front of goal. So Arsenal really can't afford to have any kind of defensive lapses. On the
You
other
should tell
side,
that
like
to
from
Zinsberger.
oh yeah, I mean I do not envy the Arsenal defense. I'll say that much.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, from the other side, I'm really curious to see how that Ford versus Carpenter battle is going to play out. I'm assuming Sleggers is going to continue with that midfield three of Little, Marion, and Manum. So which would mean that Caitlin Ford starts off the left, And Carpenter has shown that she's prone to error. She's also coming back from an injury. So, they're also teammates at Australia. So there's a
Yeah.
familiarity there as well. So I think that's also going to be a really interesting battle. And I mean, the midfield is just both teams have like really impressive midfield. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, fun.
I will say this. I do think Lyon is going to win that midfield battle. And I think that if Renee Strikers is smart, she will do what she did. I think it was against Real Madrid, but I'm not sure. Uh, it was Real Madrid, where she totally bypassed the midfield. It was like this diagonal cross to the
Yeah,
wingers or to like the fullbacks, and then like Kelly would cross it in, and or like Ford would cross it in,
yeah.
and that would be game over. I
I
think that.
think just to counterpoint to that, I think it's going to be tricky to do that against like a team like Lyon,
Yeah,
because Wendy Renner is one of the centre backs, and she is probably one of the best centre backs in the air.
yeah, yeah,
And Vanessa Gilles, who I'm assuming is going to start, is also pretty good in the air. So
yeah.
um,
Maybe they'll
that
do low crosses.
yeah, I mean, whatever gets you a goal, man, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, really, I mean, you look at a player for player, it's just so
yeah.
exciting, this
Yeah,
fixture.
absolutely. I think it's a really cracking fixture. Okay, Guy, prediction for this fixture.
Oof. I'm gonna say 3-1 Arsenal.
3-1
No,
Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. 2-1 Arsenal. I think they'll go
Okay.
with the lead. Yeah.
I think I will go in the opposite direction. I'm going to go 2-1 Leon.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, like, see, in every other circumstance, I always support a WSL club, but I never support an Arsenal victory.
Yeah. Fair
So
enough.
I'm just gonna go Leon. Um,
Yeah.
okay, moving on to the next fixture, the fixture that you would have more interest in, Barcelona versus Chelsea. So just going through the injuries, there are, as far as we know, no major injuries for Barcelona. Uh, uh, Battle's coming back from injury and played about 30 minutes against Sevilla. Chelsea, on the other hand, is quite injury struck. Lauren James. I don't know how many times in the years I will have to repeat this particular piece of news, but Lauren James unfortunately has a hamstring injury, so she
Yeah.
looks to be out for the rest of the season, which is a massive, massive blow for Chelsea, I think, since like she looked to be their most creative player, and like Chelsea have shown that they're having a slight difficulty in scoring. And apart from that, of course, there are the long term injuries. I mean, those don't really count anymore for Chelsea. Like, who's counting Sam Kerr? But
Yeah.
anyway, Barcelona's also had a heavily rotated squad against Sevilla. So Marpillon served her 2-match ban, and so she has not played for a while. But nobody is really injured.
Yeah.
So, do you wanna like? How do you feel about this game?
Uh, I think I'm suddenly at a loss for words. Uh, I mean, I'm excited for this game. Again, I feel like, having watched Chelsea play Barcelona over the last couple of years, I feel like the team is best suited right now. I feel like in terms of player quality, um, I feel like the Chelsea side is probably there finally. Um, but at the same time, I when I see Chelsea play, I can still see that tactically they're still trying to figure things out. Like I said earlier, new manager, new uh, players, etc., etc. Um, I also like. I mean, honestly, Barcelona have lost thrice this season. Like one fixture against Man City in the group stages. Obviously, they lost the Clasico against Real Madrid, and also they lost to Levante. I think it was a late winner there from Levante. So um, it has happened, but I don't think that kind of reflects the quality of this Barcelona team. the losses have happened, and to be fair to them, they also have a new coach. So it's going to be. I feel like, yeah, it's going to be a really interesting fixture. I mean, honestly, cannot call this one. Much like the Arsenal Lyon one, I feel like maybe watching the first leg will really give us a sense of, like, or even watching the first 20 minutes maybe of both matches. I feel like we can maybe wrap our head around, okay, how this is going to play out, or stuff like that. But anyway,
I mean, just to counterpoint, sorry, I think Puteas has not really come back from injury to the level that she was before, and I do think that obviously a it's not a statement on Barcelona's quality, because obviously they are one of the best teams in the world, uh, but they have conceded 15 goals in the last 25 games, which for them is really high.
yeah.
So, to me, that suggests that there is a qualitative, like, there is a qualitative issue, especially in defense.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, I think that's also something I've noticed this season. The fact that Barcelona have conceded a handful of goals, and I would personally say the defense has never been Barcelona's strong suit in general.
yeah,
Like, starting with Katakoy, who has some serious, um, like, really weird moments on the ball. She had one against Sevilla as well, where the striker basically bumped her off the ball and just like rolled it into the goal. So, like, she has those moments, and like you said earlier, Mapi Leon has not played in a while. Paredes was rested against Sevilla, so I'm assuming she's going to start. So it's going to be interesting because they are really familiar with Mayra Ramirez because she used to play for Levante. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they deal with her. And yeah, I mean, the defense has never been their strong suit, I would say. But you know what? If you're conceding 15 goals and score like 70 goals, it's it's fine. But from like a Chelsea perspective, that is definitely like a ray of hope for
yeah,
me. But in terms of their midfield, like, I know Alexia has not like hit her pre-injury levels, obviously, but I also feel like that midfield of Aitana, Alexia, and Patry has been working pretty well for them.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I think really I feel like both these fixtures like slightly depends on the tactics, mostly depends on mentally which team is just going to turn up better. I
yeah,
genuinely believe that because right this season, for the first time, I feel like we can match Barcelona player for player,
yeah.
and maybe sometimes even like probably not right wing, but apart from that, yeah,
Yeah. Uh, I mean, I think till the midfield you can match Barcelona player for player. Actually,
yeah.
no. Uh, like, yeah, there are like sections of the pitch, I think, where you can
Yeah,
match
yeah, yeah. I feel like,
Barcelona
see,
player.
that's where like a player like Lauren James is a massive miss, right? Because
Yeah,
the issue is that we are not going to have the ball, so we need to be really good when we do have the ball. And somebody who's really
yeah,
good on the ball is Lauren James. She's press resistant, she can carry the ball really well. She can be creative while she's doing that. So that is going to be like definitely going to be a massive miss. So
yeah,
it's really going to be interesting to see who starts in that left wing for Chelsea.
yeah,
Is it going to be Aggie Weaver Jones? Kuro Wrighton does not have enough minutes in her. Although I'm glad she's come back now because usually steps up in the last part of the season.
yeah, yeah.
So she's somebody who turns up in big games. And I also, in my head, I was thinking JRK is going to score a hat trick. So who knows?
It's always a first time. Not first time,
Yeah.
but there's always that day.
I
Um,
mean, I don't think she scored a hat trick for Chelsea at least. So
yeah, I mean, I can't remember, so I didn't want to say first time, but
yeah.
battles to look forward to on the pitch. Okay, go.
Whoever is going up against Cal and Graham Hansen, she loves to score a goal against Chelsea. I suspect so that like, even though Lauren is injured, I don't think Baltimore is going to get pushed up. I don't think it's a good idea to shake up the defense at this point. I think Sonia will stick with that back four that we've seen. So Baltimore will probably go up against CGH a lot. And uh, when that thought crossed my mind, I was like, you know what? I'm really glad Baltimore went up against players like Carolyn and um, Olivia Smith and came out not unscathed, but she didn't do too badly.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping she can hold her own a little bit. The only issue is like if LJ was on that left wing, like she has shown that she can track back and do her defensive work, whereas
Yeah.
Guru Wrighton, if she starts, is not particularly known for her defensive work, and Aggie is not somebody who's still very good at tracking back, so it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
So that's one. Then of course, like whoever Lucy Bronze and Kira Walsh are going to go up against, because again, like you said earlier, beating your old team, there is something like, yeah, I don't know, there's something about that, right? Like there's fire in your belly to beat your old team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Paruello, Lucy Bronze, the battle will also be interesting.
Yeah.
I also think, like, obviously, like the midfield battles are going to be super important. It's going to be hard to press. Like you have to press almost flawlessly to um, ensure that like Barcelona don't create too much. It's going to be a tough task, but for me, I think I am really interested to see how Chelsea deal with Eva Bayor, because even though Chelsea have played Barcelona over the last, well, 5 years, how many ever times we have, they I don't think like have had this, at least in the last couple of years, they've not had this focal point, the central striker, that kind of position that Bayer occupies.
Yeah.
So and Bayer's been firing in goals, man. Like I don't know what her numbers are right now, but she has been setting that league on fire. And it's really going to be interesting to see how our centre backs deal with Bayer, because that's a new sort of a that's like something new that Barcelona have added to their squad, having that central striker. So they can play a little more direct if they want, and they can also make use of the width and put in some good crosses and things like that, which you like don't see Barcelona do a whole lot. So if the way Chelsea are setting up is making it difficult for them to play through the midfield, they can then go out to the wide areas, etc., etc. So it's going to be super, super interesting. But yeah, I think Payor and Ramirez for both sides are going to be really, really key players in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Finally, predictions, Kai.
Uh Honestly, I'm just hoping for a draw, like 1-1. I don't think it'll happen, but one. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm being a bit like unfair here, because you know in the last two semifinals that we did play Barcelona, we actually drew 1-1 at Camp Nou. We didn't lose that particular leg, although we lost the whole tie 2-1. And last year we won 1-0 in that away leg. So you never know. Uh, uh,
Yeah. I'm gonna go Barcelona win. Sorry, Kai.
yeah, yeah.
2-1, 2-1 3-1 Barcelona. I'm gonna go
Oof,
3-1
that is
Barca.
gonna put it out of our reach for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna go 1-1. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that brings us to the end of this episode. We are going to have a really special guest for you to review the Champions League games. So make sure that you tune in for our review. I think those games are going to be really interesting. So the review will be super exciting as well. At least, I mean, it will be exciting for me. I hope it's exciting for you all. Um, Anyway, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, do all of those wonderful things. And we will see you after the Champions League semifinals. Bye bye.